Good afternoon. It is Monday, December 26th, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show, post 2022 Boxing Year in Review Show. Available on Facebook Live, your favorite podcast platforms, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. As always, we are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We'll provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in boxing this evening. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined by, first of all, my partner in crime, coming from a distant locale. Professor J is in the building. What's going on, partner? We appreciate you coming in.
Merry Christmas to you guys and to all our listeners out there. Thank you so much. This is a season to be truly thankful for all that we do. And man, I'm ready to get into this boxing year in review. You in Queensbury, y'all always bring the knowledge, and I've got my notepad and I'm ready to listen.
And as stated, without further ado, Queensbury Tony is in the building. What's going on, partner?
Oh, I am so happy to be here, fellas. Boxing is my favorite sport, so I always look forward to these opportunities to chop it up with you guys about boxing. And I'm going to say one thing, that this is an auspicious day, because today, internationally, is known as Boxing Day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which has people, it has nothing to do with boxing for some reason, but it's Boxing Day.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So this evening, we're going to discuss the year of women's boxing. And it was a huge year for women's boxing. Then we got to get into the hottest divisions in boxing. We got to give it to the 135-pound lightweight division, which is on fire right now. We got the 147-pound welterweight division. We got some matchups that we want to see, but don't seem like they want to happen. And then we got some young lions in that division that's saying, well, if y'all old guys don't want to fight, let us get the belts and we can do what we do. And then, of course, everybody's glamour division, the heavyweights. We got the old guard that's kind of ready to transition out. And then we got some new young up-and-comers that are coming up in the heavyweight division. Also going to give you some upsets of the year. There weren't a lot, but there were some big ones. And then the best of the best and our young guns to look for in 2023. So, as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy Post, the 2022 Boxing Show and Review. All right, fellas, let's start off by talking about the women's year in boxing. Boxing for the longest time has tried to not necessarily put their arms around women boxing. I mean, the only real time that it happened in the past that it really happened was when Layla Ali was fighting, because she was the daughter of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the only reason. I mean, there have been other boxers out there, and Wolf, that was a beast that most people never know about. Most people know her more of a trainer than actually her being one of the best women boxers of all time. I mean,
definitely the most exciting.
I mean, people have heard of Christy Martin, Nicole Miner's daughter, but they used that more as a prop. She was a decent fighter, but she wasn't a great fighter. But now, thanks to some innovative promoters who saw the potential of some of these fighters that they had, and also the market, that there's a market for women's boxing. I mean, specifically Matchroom Boxing and their CEO. And I got to give to it. The last time we talked about boxing, and I kind of poo-pooed on Jake Paul.
Yeah.
But Jake Paul and his MVP promotions really is trying to help establish women boxers. So it started off April 30th. Madison Square Garden, the Mecca.
Good fight.
You had two of the top three, pound for pound, women in the world fighting, when you had Katie Taylor, who came over from England to fight Amanda Serrano.
I think Amanda came up a couple weight classes.
Amanda Serrano came up 2 weight classes to make this fight. So these are two boxers, the best of the best, saying, forget what the weight classes are. We want to make sure that we make this fight happen. And it was possibly, if not the fight of the year, in the top fights of the year, men or women.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
So, I mean, that was just an amazing thing. I I had to watch that live. Some boxings, I'll tell you, I'll DVR it and catch it later. I had to watch that live. They literally, even though they were the co-main event, that crowd was there to see them two ladies fight.
Great job from both fighters. Very, very exciting fight. Absolutely.
Now, Katie Taylor got the split decision.
That's right.
I watched that fight twice.
Did you? Okay. All right. What do you think about it?
I think Serrano beat her.
Okay.
I think Serrano out-hustled her.
Okay.
And Katie Taylor came on at the end, but I think she won enough early rounds that I think it was, at best, a draw.
Okay.
But I really think Serrano beat her. And to think that she came up 8 pounds.
That's right.
To do that, that was a hell of a fight.
So first of all, let's talk about this. Weight classes in boxing mean something. They absolutely mean something. And when you go up in weight, especially coming up 2 weight classes, that is an extremely, extremely difficult thing. So all props to Amanda for coming up 2 weight classes to fight one of the best boxers in female boxing. So, just to start off, I want to say that there's 3 scoring criteria in boxing. Okay, we have effective aggression.
Yep.
We have ring generalship.
Yep. And
we have clean, effective punching.
Absolutely.
So, and they're all married a little bit together, because you can be going backwards the whole fight, so that you're not the aggressor. I don't think you have good ring generalship if you don't cut off the ring and actually land some clean, effective punches.
I agree.
So that's my challenge with Amanda. She clearly had the higher volume, but she missed a lot of shots.
True.
So don't get me wrong. I agree with Reg. It could have been a draw, but you gotta hit your shots, especially when you're coming up 2 weight classes, even if they don't. And even if they don't hurt your opponent, because you're coming up to 2 weight classes, you got to touch them. You got to put the leather on their skin more to really get those victories. Which is crazy how she was backing her up the whole fight,
right?
Being
the smaller person, right? So I mean, with that fight again, it was close. So I'm not mad about it, but that showed when the best of the best of women boxing come together, it's electric. And it also showed the actual technical class that some of our women boxers have. Because, know, a lot of people have this stigma, it's just women boxing. They don't really know how to box. These women,
no.
They're different.
They can box. And the stamina too. Even 2 minutes, that's hard. They get 2 minutes. They don't have the 3-minute rounds. But it's very difficult. So props to those women, and they put on a fight that we definitely want to see again.
Absolutely, and hopefully
that was going to be my question. That was just going to be my question. Do we see this fight happen again?
Yeah, because Jake Paul right after the fight said we need to do this again.
I think he lost $1 million on the fight.
Yeah, they had a side bet, and he owned up to it. But so. I think Matchroom Boxing, I think they want to put it on. I think if it happens in 2023, it'll be in London or somewhere in Europe. Ooh. Since she came to New York, have Serrano go fight on her turf. So that's where it's going to be.
Wow. That's going to be tough. And there's no bigger boxing fans than the London fans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that started off the big year women's boxing. But in the fall, we got a card that has never ever been done to this scale before. This was the first ever all-female fight card.
Yes.
They had 9 bouts on this card. 4 of them were established big-time draw fighters, but it was headlined by 2 big fights. The top billing was our lady, the GOAT, Clarissa Shields, against her rival, Savannah Marshall. And Savannah Marshall is the only woman who was walking around on the planet that could say she had beat Clarissa Shields. because she beat her in the amateurs. And they
That
never got a
remind me of
chance to
that
fight
movie,
again.
Great White Hope. Remember that movie?
So
that was a funny movie. But yeah, the only time in the movie, the only time that he was an undefeated professional, the only time he lost as an amateur was to some guy they pulled up, But this was actually a pretty good fight, though.
Yeah, because Savannah Marshall was an undefeated fighter.
Yes,
who had more knockouts than Shields and had been literally knocking girls out. She had knocked out her last 6 opponents. So she had been she literally been chasing Shields for like a year and a half, talking about, you scared of me. You know what I'm going to do to you. You can't beat me. I beat you before and beat you again. This time I knock you out. So this was literally a blood feud. Clarissa Shields went over to Europe to fight this. And this all-female boxing card sold out the O2 Arena in London. As you said, them London boxing fans know real boxing.
Yes, they do.
They sold out a 20,000-seat arena and had over 2 million watchers.
Wow.
On the European circuit.
Sky Network's the Sky.
Not even talking about the American circuit.
Right.
So for all them people that say women's sports don't sell, that showed that.
Clarissa made a great move going over there to establish herself. I think it's difficult for non-London fighters, non-English fighters to establish a following, but going over there is really, really an important step for her. Absolutely.
The fight was electric.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm.
Those two ladies went back and forth, and you could see Clarissa did her thing, and she beat her, and she won by unanimous decision on all 3 cards. But Savannah Marshall caught her a couple of times and hurt her, which was the first time I've ever seen Clarissa Shields actually holding a little stunned. I was like, we might have a problem. So, again.
Yeah, for folks that didn't see that, they were dropping bombs, man. I went back and watched the replay of that one. That was a really good fight.
I think that's the only way to really beat Clarissa Shields is to kind of stop her.
I agree. Because that was that classic matchup. You got the boxer,
the
puncher versus the quote unquote, if you can't knock her out, it's going to be hard to beat her.
It's going to be hard to beat her.
And so,
she's an accurate volume puncher, and she's a really great boxer, 2-time gold medalist. Quote, people don't know what that means. It's the greatest woman of all time. She coined that term from the LL Cool J's GOAT, GOAT,
right.
And she is the quote greatest woman boxer of all time, based on her accomplishments in her short professional career.
And then the co-main event was actually better than the main event. And a lot of people didn't see it. But this was another blood feud. Alicia Baumgartner, who's actually from Texas, had been chasing Michaela Meyer, trying to get a title fight for 2 years. And Meyer said, you ain't win anything. I'm not giving you no fight.
Right.
What? But because this was such a big cause, she said, okay, I'll fight her.
Right.
It was a long night for Michaela Meyer. And she, again, top 5 pound for pound, Alicia Baumgartner just literally walked through her, walked to her, made her defensive, made her fight on her back foot, and took 3 of her belts.
Wow.
I mean, again, high-level boxing, 2 people going at it. It was a great fight card. I highly recommend if you didn't see it. It was on ESPN. So if you got ESPN Plus or go online, check it out. The Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall fight card. And you can watch 3 or 4 of those fights. Them were high-level women's fights. And again, 2 million watchers live.
I don't think I've seen that fight. I remember Alicia. She's pretty, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's nice looking. Nice looking African American young lady.
Yeah, she was not intimidated by her opponent and took it to her, huh?
Yeah, and took her junior lightweight IBF, WBC, WBO titles.
I got to see that fight.
Now,
I did not see that one.
Maya definitely wants a rematch. So we might see that again in 2023. So, I mean, some good stuff that was going on. some other women made some big strides this year.
Mm-hmm.
Got a shout out to Franchon Cruz Dezern. She became the undisputed 160-pound super middleweight champion.
Yep.
Won 2 different fights to get all 4 belts. This was
Tough lady.
a division that Clarissa used to have. But because she decided that she was going to try to do MMA, drop down in weight, she gave up all those belts.
Right.
So, but I mean, just think about it. Clarissa Shields was 168-pound undisputed.
She
160-pound undisputed.
She's an amazing fighter. Because what's amazing about it is the fact that she started up high and then came down. Most fighters will start lower, like a Pacquiao or Mayweather or something like that, and then work their way up. And so many great fighters have done this. No one has ever gone from a higher weight class, and as they've gotten older, lost weight to dominate and the lower weight classes. So she is. I think that's part of her legacy as well.
Yeah, Chantel Cameron became the 147-pound undisputed welterweight champion, and Jessica McCaskill retained her 140-pound welterweight undisputed titles. So all of these women had big years in boxing, and they're looking to put together some big matches in 2023.
Can't wait.
But like we said, we hoping we get that rematch. Taylor Serrano, possibly Shields, Marshall again. And then there's some other ones out there. You got Natasha Jones versus Terry Harper.
I hope I see that rematch this year. What a great fight. Did you see that fight? It was incredible.
Yeah.
And the difference in ages, because
exactly.
Natasha Harper was 36 at the time, and Terry actually Natasha Jones. Actually is Jonas. It's
You're
Natasha
right.
Jonas.
You're right.
And Terry Harper, I think, is at like 23, and she was the champ. She's the champ, and they ended up being a draw. Technically sound is Jonas. Oh my goodness. Clean, effective punching. I think the only thing that hampered her might have been her age, because she just couldn't keep up with the tempo.
Right.
But stunned her a couple times. Really, really great, clean, effective punching. I hope to see that fight sooner than later, and she doesn't try to age her out of the game.
That's an old boxing trick.
Just keep delaying the fight until you end up like Triple G. You're just getting a little too old, and you're just a step slower than you used to be. Father Time is undefeated.
Absolutely. Then we got Alicia Baumgartner. If she doesn't do the immediate rematch against Michaela Meyer, she wants to become an undisputed champ at junior lightweight at 130. Ho-Mi Choi of Japan has the other belt, the one belt she's missing, so that could happen.
Great.
Amanda Serrano said she's going to defend her 126-pound belts. And Erica Cruz has the one belt she doesn't have, so she wants to be an undisputed. So not only are these young ladies fighting, they're all trying to say, look, I got all 4 belts in my weight division. Now I can bounce around in other weight divisions and fight the best of the best. It'd be real nice if somebody in men's boxing did that, but we'll get to
my
that
thoughts
in a second.
exactly. I was thinking the same. So get out of my head, Reg. Yes, amazing achievements in women's boxing. I mean, it's up there. I hope it gets up there with women's tennis. I think it's probably second to that. Maybe women's soccer, but I would say women's boxing is certainly well on the rise.
Absolutely.
On the rise. Yes,
absolutely. And again, if other promoters get on board, it's amazing. The Golden Boys of the world, Top Rank with Michaela, all of them have one decent fighter. They need to add more, because there's more and more young ladies boxing, because boxing became an Olympic sport, so more and more of them get involved. Let's build this up. There's some great matches, and just like in MMA, women's bouts are usually more action-packed, more closely matched than men's bouts. So,
yes,
hopefully, y'all got me over here writing up so many things. Thank you so much. I gotta ask y'all a question though.
Yes, okay. Please.
Why does it seem that on the women's side, we're getting the fights that we want to see. But on the men's side, there's so many factors and things that get in the way, and we can't get the real fights that we want to see on the men's side. Why y'all think that is?
You want the dirty, gritty answer to that?
Yes, give it to the people. Yes, sir.
Money.
Okay.
It's all about the money. Promoters aren't concerned about if their fighter loses in one of these pound for pound matchups, because guess what? Even if they lose, it's a big push for women's boxing, and their fighter still is going to get other fights, and they're not paying them a lot. If you put, all right, so we just gonna go there.
Go ahead, because I have another thing to add to that, but go ahead.
Well, add yours, and then we'll go.
Okay. Well, I think it is somewhat a lot to do with money, but I really feel I really see that these fighters on the men's side are foregoing money because they know they're going to lose in their heart. They don't have the spirit of a champion like boxers of old, like your Muhammad Ali, who just took all comers, win or lose or draw. He knew he was going to win, and these guys just know that they're not going to win, and they have passed up record-breaking money for themselves, only to lose later to hand-picked opponents like Teofimo Lopez.
Good point.
So they lose to hand-picked opponents later and pass up much bigger money later because they don't, in their heart, believe they know they're going to lose. So that's that heart of a champion is missing in some of the fighters today. And you see that in this PC world that we live in. The things that Muhammad Ali would say back in the day, that wouldn't go over. It didn't go over well back then.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
Yeah. Imagine if he was doing that today.
True.
I mean, he'd be more hated than Mayweather is. And Mayweather don't talk that much stuff about his opponents. Like this guy, he used to call people gorillas. And, I mean, he used to say things that just. So this world is way too PC. This generation of people are softer, and the heart of the champion, that grind that used to exist in the world a couple generations ago, but even before X, is gone.
Wow.
So it is a little bit about the money, and they're worried about their future legacy, but it's also about in their heart they don't have a heart of a champion. They don't have the confidence and the skills to take on the best.
Wow.
See, you came from it from the boxer side.
Yes.
I was talking about it from the promoter side. That's the money I was talking about.
Okay.
These big promoters, like the Golden Boys, like the Top Ranks, they're so concerned about losing their cash cow and putting them in a matchup that they actually could possibly lose, and thinking if they lose their zero or lose their belts, that guy isn't going to be marketable anymore, which is a fallacy of thinking. But that's where they're scared about it, because boxing has come so fractured. So if you don't have multiple boxers in that division that you're promoting, then if you want to fight again for the title and you lose, and that person happens to be on a different promotion side, you might not get your rematch.
Wow. Fellas, thank you so much for dropping that knowledge. We have made post history, y'all. This is the first time we had a Reg Bomb and a Tony Torpedo back to back. So I'm blown away. That's what's up. Thank you, fellas.
So let's talk about some of these divisions since we got to this. And since we're talking about people avoiding, I'm going to skip the first one. I'm going to go right to welterweight, 147-pound welterweights, because this is a classic example. And Professor J knows I've been talking about this for the past month about what's going on between Crawford and Spence. We was on the show, and I believe it was Sense who said, "Oh, did you hear that the Spence Crawford fight was done?" And I told him I believe it when I see it.
You sure did.
Still ain't done.
This is my personal opinion.
Yes, sir.
I think it's part of what you said.
Yeah.
I think Spence really, really in his heart of hearts, doesn't want to fight Crawford because I think he knows it's that tough of a fight.
Yes, it is.
And it's a toss-up fight. And he's concerned about his legacy. And I know PBC doesn't want to fight because you can see that by the way they negotiated the fight. When have you ever heard an actual division champion? Yeah, Earl Spence has 3 belts.
Yeah.
People say, well, Spence got the most belts. That's okay.
He's not undisputed.
Crawford was an undisputed at 140,
Yes,
came
he
up
was.
147, and has had a belt for 5 years at
That's
147.
right.
So it's not like he this new guy at 147.
Mm-hmm.
And he agrees to fight for no guarantee money.
Yep.
He fired his management company, his promotion company,
Yep.
because you kept saying you're on the wrong side of the street.
Right.
That was his excuse.
That was excuses
For the last 3 years. You're on the wrong side of the street. So I'm going to fire my promotion company. I'm going to agree to no guaranteed money.
Right.
And I'm going to take less money. I'm going to give you 55-45.
Did you want to hear the latest excuse? Is so Crawford took a tune-up fight, and because he didn't make a lot of money, no one really thought he would lose. That's why he actually made $10 million against a guy that nobody even remembers. And they're using that. Spencer's using that as an excuse. Oh, you didn't make that much money on your pay-per-view. You're not as worth as much as you thought you were. Listen. So back to your point. You're saying that the promotional companies, I agree with you. Ultimately, though, if the fighter wants that fight, they will make that fight happen.
Absolutely. They'll go to their promoter and say, I don't care. Finalize it. Let's get it done.
That's right, because they don't want to lose their job. And just like Crawford fired Top Rank because they said they couldn't make the fight. So we got fired Top Rank and the fight's still not made. It's because it's the fighter that's causing it. And you see what it is because you said it perfectly. Spence is blocking this fight. And because he knows he's going to lose to Crawford. He's a better fighter, period. Sorry to say that, guys.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
For all the Spence
He's the boogeyman. He's
apologists out there that said, oh, no, if Crawford wanted to make the fight, he would just agree to whatever terms. At every point, you got to say, come on now. All I'm asking, hit the thing that broke the last fight, I'm fighting for no guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fighting for a percentage of not the gross amount. He agreed to the net.
Wow.
I need to see the books. Seems reasonable. If I'm fighting for the
reasonable.
net,
That's a business. Yeah.
that means you're going to charge all these expenses. And I've been in this game a long time, so I know how y'all do.
You ain't going to be padding the expense sheet. That's what happens. So, yeah, that's absolutely reasonable. We're in a partnership together. I want to see the books. What's up with that?
And supposedly PBC said no.
Look,
come on now.
You know who said no.
Yeah.
We all know who said no. There's nobody better at putting these fights together than Al Heyman. He's been proving that for decades. And he gets the most for the fighters. And that's why, what's the name? Name one of his children after.
Yeah.
I mean, Al Heyman is the best there is. Yeah. And we don't even know what he's like the gooch.
Now that's the boogeyman.
That's the gooch.
Yeah. You never see him.
And everyone loves him, but that's the crazy thing about him. So Al Heyman will absolutely make this fight if it wasn't for Spence and his team blocking, and his own coach wants to kind of stay out of it.
Yeah.
He can't even say nothing about it.
It's terrible. But in the 147 division, we got Crawford and Spence. They got all 4 belts.
Yes, right. That's right.
But we got some young lions in that division.
Do.
We got Boots.
This man is
Drawn. It is. Oh my goodness! Out of Philly is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Monster.
Another
undefeated.
monster.
I think he's 19-0.
Yep. You got some old dogs still hanging around. Your Dennis Ugas, who lost the belt that he had to Spence. He's still out there. He can be a gatekeeper, I think.
I think he should fight. Yeah, that's what he's turning into, and I think Crawford should take that fight. Just keep. This is the thing that Pacquiao started doing, beating the guys that you want to beat better than they beat them.
Yeah, to make it look like
make it look. I'm the guy.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know, just keep beating. You know, you beat you guys. I'm gonna beat them better. You took out his left eye and stopped the fight in the 11th. I'm gonna knock him out in the 3rd. That's the kind of stuff that Crawford needs to do to really make people understand that he is the man.
And then you got Keith Thurman that's still hanging out there,
hanging around. This guy.
What I've heard is if the Spence Crawford fight doesn't happen, that Spence is gonna fight Thurman.
I mean, who wants to see that?
All right.
I'm not even gonna bother watching it. I should read it.
I hear you.
And I love Spence too.
I
think he's a good fighter. I don't think he's better than Crawford. I think Spence should just drop it and move up to 154.
And that's what he also been hitting at that.
If you don't want to fight
that
Crawford,
he's having trouble hitting 147.
Let them clean out each other. Maybe even think about coming back. But just go up to 154 and then just build it up even more 2, 5, 3, 4 years from now, and then have this big Crawford super fight that everybody can't see. But don't do what he's doing now. Don't do that.
I feel you. So are you like me? Mm-hmm. I don't think Crawford Spence is happening in 2023. I don't think we're ever going to see this fight.
Nope.
Oh no.
I could be wrong. We could be wrong.
Queensberry said it best. I think he's going to fight one more fight at 147, take the easy money,
right?
Fight Thurman, and may end up messing around and getting caught. Because one thing Thurman can do, even though he has nothing to lay, he can punch. So you can mess around and get caught and end up losing a bout that you shouldn't have instead of fighting the one you had.
How did I start this? That's the Teofimo thing.
Absolutely.
They get these hand-picked opponents, and they think they're easy fights. Now Teofimo picked a guy nobody even really heard of from Australia, but we know who Keith Thurman is, and he can punch. So if Spence might get caught with something, I hope Keith Thurman's training.
Yeah. So speaking of T.O., let's move to his former division, lightweight, 135 pounds. Mm-hmm. The new king, Devin Haney.
Yes.
Undisputed. The man did it his way when he was
he Frank Sinatra it all the way.
16, mm-hmm. Turned pro and went to Mexico and was fighting in Mexico because he couldn't get a license to fight in the U.S. till he was 18.
That good.
Did his thing there. Went to Australia, not once. Twice. In 2022. To defeat George Kambosos.
Let me tell you how cold Devin Haney is. He had the Australian news media already looking past him. I mean, he couldn't even get his own people behind him after that first fight loss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how cold Devin Haney is.
And the second fight,
I think the best of the undisputed champions we have, right? We have this rash of undisputed champions, like the Canelo at 168, Jamel at 154. We got Haney at 135, and now we got Inouye. What is that? 122. Yeah. So we got this rash of these undisputed. Devin Haney, to me, by far, is the best.
Yeah, I think he has proven that he can, like the great true master boxers, adjust his style and fight whatever style he needs to fight to win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
What he did in the first fight against Kambosos was out-hustle him, use his boxing skills.
I think he did enough to win, but then he really showed off the second.
The second fight,
he just showed off.
Yeah, he just said, "I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna abuse you."
So, I don't know why that guy took that fight. I mean, he just took
money.
Yeah,
it's big money. Yeah, two big things in your Australia. So the question is, how long is Haney gonna stay here? Because I just read an article.
Yeah, he's leaving.
That he's going to 140
after he fights Loma.
And that's the thing. Both of them are top rank affiliated. Uh-huh. Lomo's top rank, and then Haney co-promotes with Top Rank. Mm-hmm. So they're saying they're going to try to make Lomachenko the fight that he was chasing. Remember, he was chasing, and Lomachenko was like, "You ain't got no real belts. Why would I fight you?" Now he got all the belts.
He had that French fries belt. The franchise belt. Really, the French fries belt, that made up belt, that made up green belt. That's all belt he had. Come on now. So he really Haney already beat the guy that beat Loma.
Right.
Twice. So this, I mean, and then then he's looking to move up to 140. At this point, I felt like there was that little NBF thing, and that's a thing that's a term that's been coined in boxing ever since Jack Johnson. No black fighters, where non-black fighters would avoid black fighters because they were just too good. Now what's happening now is that at this point, the best fighters in Haney's weight class are already except for Ryan Garcia, you can put him aside, who's really a one shot. He has one good punch, that left hook. There's the best fighters need to fight each other. We need to fight. We need to see Haney fight Tank. See Haney fight Shakur, and this is what needs to happen in boxing.
Hey, Queensberry, what about Ryan Garcia joining the 4-letter network, telling Stephen A. he gonna knock Tank out? What about that?
Yeah, he's always talking stuff, but he hasn't fought anybody. He has a Instagram following. He's good looking. He's non-black, so he gets a lot of stuff around him, but he hasn't really tell me who he's beat.
He doesn't have a belt.
And he don't have a belt. Who's he fought?
He's never had a belt.
Who's he fought? Who's he beat?
And doesn't care about a belt because he has that man makes millions of dollars from social media.
That's right.
So he doesn't have to fight. And I've always told y'all that when you in the business of combat sports, you better really love it. Because if you don't love fighting and you just fighting because you're good at it, when you have to fight guys that this is the only way they're gonna make a living, and they're trying to feed their family.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you got a problem.
Yeah, you can't have. He had a little side job making money, and we're supposed to believe that this is how he wants to take care of his family. No, so Ryan Garcia hasn't really fought anybody of note. He's not a bad fighter, and I hope they make this Tank, because Tank is fighting a better Garcia here on January 7th. I can't wait.
Yes,
and hopefully during Cinco de Mayo we can see Tank fight Ryan Garcia. I think everyone would love to see that. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope Tank doesn't go to jail, because Tank's got to deal with
he had some legal
issue.
I didn't know that
happened in Baltimore, where he hit somebody
and
ran away from the car.
Okay, yeah.
But who drives a $300,000 car in Baltimore? So it was easy to figure out whose car that was. So, and that's supposed to happen, I believe, in February. So hopefully that works out and works itself out. But generally, with fighters, the people behind them will figure that out. You mentioned an interesting name, Shakur Stevenson, who's actually the former 130-pound champion, because in his last fight, he lost his belts, not because he lost a fight,
lost the weight,
because he didn't make weight. And so I think he may have one last fight at 130, and then he'll be up in lightweight. But by that time, I think Devin Haney will be going to 140. So we'll never. That's the fight I want to see at the lower weights. Two master technicians fighting each other.
That'd be an awesome fight.
But I'm not sure if we'll ever get to see that.
These guys are way too friendly nowadays. I don't know. I like the contention. I came up in the 90s, guys. With Tyson, the contentious days, used to talk about how we eat your children, stuff like that. That's what I love about boxing. The talking and the contentious nature of being in a combat sport, not this friendly stuff. There's nothing being said. There's nobody talking stuff anymore. I guess I'm getting old.
We are doing that for sure. Let's talk about the last, big division, the heavyweight division.
Oh yeah, you're a little talking in the heavyweights.
You got your man Tyson Fury. Now he's from the old school. Yes. He talked trash about everybody, called them bums, that they're not worthy. So, but Fury is in a situation. His family wants him to retire. He even actually retired twice this past year.
Oh, speaking of retirement, that's what I wanted to say about Ryan Garcia. how soft he is. That's the guy. He retired talking about he had anxiety issues, and he retired briefly from boxing because he had mental health issues. I mean, this is what's happening in boxing, and he's back for I'm sure he's cured his mental health issues. Look, some of these mental health issues are absolutely legitimate. I don't believe all of them are, but again, he did this to avoid fighting the best guys. All right, but I'm sorry, I had to digress there.
So you got Tyson Fury,
yes,
and the only reason why I think he wants to continue to fight, because I think he wants the chance of unifying all the belts again. And if he can't do that, I'm not sure he's going to fight again. Then we got the unified champion, Alexander Usyk, who's currently injured and recovering from, I believe it was a shoulder injury. Now, he says he should be ready to fight in the spring. Just this past week.
He won't be fighting the best. He probably make a tune-up fight or something, but he ain't going to be fighting if he's coming off an injury.
Again, as some of the boxing news sources have stated, that they supposedly agreed in loose principle that the next fight for both of these guys will be Fury Usyk. Now they got to actually get together
and make it happen.
But Fury says he's ready to do it. And the Middle East is willing to spend somewhere between $100 to $150 million guaranteed to make a unified heavyweight championship fight happen. So the money's there.
The money's always been there for heavyweights, for sure.
The question is, can we get it done? That's a crazy fight, though, because you remember, Usyk's a cruiserweight. He was undisputed at cruiserweight. He came up. Now he added some.
What's this? What is like? He's 6 feet.
I think he's like 6'2".
Okay,
he's not that short.
6'9", just 7. He has Tyson 6'9".
Yeah.
So there's a 7-inch, and I'm sure the reach is even
crazier.
Yeah. So it'll look like a big guy versus a small guy fight.
And that's the biggest thing. Fury could come in at 280.
That's right.
270. Usyk at best is gonna come in at 235 if he pushes it to 240. So he's gonna outweigh this dude by 30, 40 pounds.
More than likely. He's gonna lean on him the whole fight. He's gonna make it real sloppy. And that's not the kind of fight Usyk is. Fighter is. He's a technically sound fighter.
That's like a lightweight, to give people understanding. That's like a lightweight at 135 fighting a super middleweight that's 168. How many divisions have we jumped in between to get to that?
That's been the whole contention in boxing. Should we have a super heavyweight class?
Yeah,
but but anybody over, I think it's 200 can fight. You'll fight a 200-pound guy can fight a 300-pound guy the same weight class.
Yeah, so that should be interesting. But I hope we get it. But if so, I think Tyson Fury needs to walk away and try to figure out what his next life is going to be. And I think Alexander Usyk could have a really, really good heavyweight championship career. Even if he loses to Fury, I think he can win the belts back because Fury retires, vacates all the belts, and then Usyk can win it back. Because really, right now, the only other
opportunities available to him, you think he should take it, even if he loses, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Just get the money, and then he's going to be able to get the belts back when Fury retires.
If he wants to continue to fight.
Legacy.
Exactly.
And then he'll move on.
Because who else is there right now at the top of boxing? The only other real big name heavyweight fight that could possibly happen is Joshua Wilder. And we know Joshua been running from Wilder for years.
Forever.
Wilder said, I'll come to London.
Right.
I'll fight 80-20. And they couldn't make that fight happen. So, and after losing twice to Usyk, I don't think he wants to get knocked out.
Did Wilder ever fight? Wilder didn't fight Danny. What's the guy? Ruiz. Ruiz.
They're supposed to fight. Think February.
Okay.
Or March.
I think we need to see that fight. We need to see how Wilder looks against Ruiz, and then really the crowd, the public needs to push Anthony Joshua to either take on Usyk again or fight Wilder
or retire. because you don't want to fight.
A lot of these guys will retire and then come back, which that was a Mayweather staple. He would retire and then he'd come back. Whoop the best whoever was the champion. The only reason they were champion because he left and they took the title, and then he would just come back and get the title back. So I would love to see some of these guys fight each other. I think you nailed it on the head with the heavyweights. Tyson Fury, and everybody, if you watch in my rundowns, I've never been a big fan of Tyson Fury. Been a big fan of Tyson Fury. Ultimately, though, he fought 3 times against the guy, and he's either tied or beaten against the Wilder, and that makes him the best. That's it. I can't. You heard it here first. I'm calling Tyson Fury the best heavyweight active in the sport of boxing currently. Now, Tyson needs to, if he wants to seal his legacy, he needs to fight some of these other guys, the Anthony Joshuas, the Alexander Usyks, to really cement his legacy, based on what history, because there's a lot of great heavyweights throughout history.
Absolutely.
So if he really wants to be a really known as one of the best, he has to find a way to get that last title and cement his place in history.
I agree. Let's talk about some of the upsets of 2022, partner.
Some good stuff.
The biggest upset of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I called it.
Yes.
We said he does not want to mess around with this dude. But Dimitri Bivol beat pound for pound and pay-per-view king Canelo Alvarez, and forget what the final scorecards were.
Yeah.
Because they was trying to be nice to Canelo.
Yeah.
Canelo, if you was generous,
mm-hmm.
all you could give Canelo was 2, maybe 3 rounds.
2 or 3 rounds. That's it. Maybe.
Bivol backed Canelo up,
mm-hmm.
outboxed him, made him look bad, made him miss, and retained his 175-pound light heavyweight title. So
you made a great point earlier that I want to reiterate. It's and that about the differences in weight. It matters. It absolutely matters. So you have a young Bivol who's, to me, is not that great of a boxer looking at just as his skills, but he just pushed this guy around like he wasn't there. And that same thing happened in the first Canelo Triple G fight. Canelo hit him with a shot that laid out Amir Khan, and Triple G walked right through it because weight classes matter. Okay, so Bivol was not intimidated at all. He saw that the guy was way smaller than him, and he pushed him around. He didn't even have to really dodge any punches. He just out hustled him, outboxed him, and won pretty much almost every round in that fight. It's so bad that Bivol was like, "Look, let's fight. If you think I had such an advantage over you at the higher weight class, I'll come down to 168 where you're the champion, and I'll fight you there." That's how bad he beat him.
That was the salt in the wound. He said, "You want a rematch?
That's right.
Fine, we'll do a rematch. But let's make it easy for you. I'll come down to your weight class, and you put your 4 belts on the line."
He'd probably fight him in his own gym. He said, "We'll fight in Mexico in your own gym, something crazy. We'll fight it wherever you want me to fight. But I'll come down to 168 and take your titles from you."
And Canelo doesn't like the sound of that. He says he's going to make this rematch. I think he stays clear away from Bivol as long as possible. I think he'd rather fight one of the other young lions at 168 than mess with Dimitri Bivol.
Listen, this goes back to my point. Bivol was a hand-picked opponent for Canelo. Canelo had been plotting and planning to be the undisputed champion at 168. It really should be David Benavidez, who lost his title on the scale, just like we were just talking about with the Shakur Stevenson did. So David Benavidez lost his title on the scale, and Canelo put together a series of calculated fights so that he can become the champion, because he knew he couldn't beat David Benavidez.
Absolutely.
So now he's 168 champ. He goes up to 175. He even considered fighting a cruiserweight at almost 200 pounds, because that fighter, whatever his name wasn't that great. But just to make him look good. Okay, so Bivol was a handpicked opponent, but everybody know, and we knew that was not a good fight for him, not a good fight for Canelo. He just doesn't have the power or skill to fight some of these young guns at the upper weight classes, and he showed them.
Yeah.
So, just like Teofimo asked in his last fight, do I still have it? Canelo should be asking the same thing. And like Greg said, he should be looking for the best fight to make at this point of his career for the most money, so he can just finish off and get some bread and move on.
Absolutely.
Move on to sports casting in Spanish.
Yeah. A smaller name upset, but a major upset, and you talked about it. Fighting somebody that's unknown or a last-minute replacement.
Oh, yes.
Chris Colbert,
yes.
aka he was supposed to be fighting for a title 2 weeks before the fight, and it was one of them fake titles, the WBA
Intercontinental, something like that.
Yeah, or regular title.
Right.
So his opponent, Roger Gutierrez, came down with COVID, so he had to be replaced. So instead of canceling the whole bout, he said, "I'll fight." They gave this dude, Hector Luis Garcia. Garcia put it on Colbert.
Put on the clinic.
Put him. If you at the verge where you're going to win your first title and that falls through, I know at that point he made a lot of money. You need to think real hard before agreeing to fight somebody, A, that you didn't train for, B, Colbert said after fight he didn't know anything about this dude.
Right.
And now he's messed up his opportunity of winning the title, at least for a while.
So I've seen a lot of Colbert if you don't know, he's always coming to the ring with wild hair.
Yeah.
I think he owns like a chicken restaurant in New Jersey. So one time he came in with chickens on his shorts. He's a really entertaining fighter. And he's a good fighter, but his lack of amateur pedigree really, really showed in this fight. And I saw some bad things about him defensively in his earlier fights that really showed up here in this fight. And so Colbert I think he's a little too overconfident. This is so this is also endemic in our time, where fighters are either overconfident or just not confident at all.
Yeah. So
I don't think he has the skills to beat him in a rematch.
And with boxing, when you lose and you lose badly to somebody you're supposed to beat, sometimes that messes with them psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't get that right, or it could be the springboard to make him work hard and maybe take him to the next level.
It's possible. I've seen both happen.
Yeah.
I really don't think though he's as skilled as he did. I think he was shown to be the favorite because this guy was a last minute replacement and he was relatively unknown. So Colbert has some real holes in his game, and and it really showed in that fight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about what we consider the best of the best, or you might heard it pound for pound. Who are your best of the best in boxing?
Wow. So Terence Crawford is clearly the best fighter, pound for pound. Again, he's probably been a number one last year as well. And he was at 140 pounds, the undisputed champion. I think he's probably one of the first, or the first.
One of the first, the full belt era, absolutely.
In the full belt era to be the undisputed champion, and came up and just dominated at 147, beating guys even better than some of the best guys. So I would say Terence Crawford is certainly my number one. Yeah,
I'd agree with you there.
Mm-hmm.
But Bud is by far my number one. and the fact that he's as close to boxing savant that I've seen in the ring. The only other person recently was my man that had the super middleweight title and then went up to light heavyweight, who's now the boxing commentator from Golden State. I'm just
talking about Ward?
Yeah, Ward.
Okay.
Those two guys, it didn't matter who they were fighting. Just give them 2 or 3 rounds.
Yes.
And then I'm going to adjust to them. And then the rest of the fight, they got problems.
I mean, well, the best to ever, if you want to, if that's the mark of the best, then Mayweather, to me, is the best at that.
Yeah, that's another one. I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there.
There's nobody better at that than Mayweather. He would knock you out backing up, not going forward backing up. The only thing that stopped him from really just like destroying his opponents was his hands. His hands became brittle as he got old. He just overpowered his hands. But really, in terms of being a boxer, just the IQ. What he's talking about is a boxing IQ.
Absolutely.
So when you're in a fight and you don't know your opponent, but on film, or you just don't know them at all, you take the first couple of rounds to really get to know your opponent, and then you figure out a way to win. I think we're naming fighters like SOG Ward, Terrence Crawford, and Mayweather are the best to me to ever do it.
Some of the other top fighters on my pound for pound list, I think you won't disagree with. We already talked about Devin Haney earlier. Mm-hmm. Devin Haney's proven that he is one of the elite of the elite. And it also shows, like Bud, he's a master class boxer.
Absolutely. The only problem I have with putting him at so high up on the list is that we only have seen him beat. It's all about opponent. It's not all about, but amongst the reasons why you're a pound for pound best is who you've faced.
Right.
So he has no problem facing anybody. People have a problem facing him, and I can only name maybe 2 or 3 fighters of note that Devin Haney actually has dominated and beaten.
Yeah. Shakur Stevenson has a similar situation that Haney.
Yes.